So we're going to talk about Gnosticism and Islam. So 2nd century Gnosticism in brief. So the physical world of matter is cursed. It is evil, and it was created or ruled by a lesser god, the demiurge, who is lower than humans, right? Now, spirit is good, matter is bad, right? Liberation is attained through esoteric knowledge. And of course, it denies the incarnation. God is spirit and pure, thus his humanity must be an illusion. Now, of course, these stories are present within the Islamic narrative as well. And of course, the Allah of Islam cannot come to earth. And this is a Gnostic thing. God doesn't come to earth because matter is dirty. Now, the name Gnosticism was applied to a variety of schools that differed in their reinterpretations of the Christian faith. The common principle of unity is all standing in opposition to Christianity. So they all believed Christianity is false and it cannot afford absolute truth, and they have a hostile attitude to Christianity. So they claimed the possession of superior knowledge higher than that of ordinary believers. And we will see that Islamic scholars make the very same claim. Right, so jump in anytime, please. So let's have a look. Gnosticism. Gnosticism comes in many varieties and interpretations, from ascetic to licentious. Licentious means lacking legal or moral restraints. And I think we know of a certain prophet that had those exact problems, especially disregarding sexual restraints.
But I thought Muhammad is a moral exemplar. He's a standard of morality and ethics. What are you talking about? That's why you're a kafir, but I'll let you slide on that one. Go ahead.
So notice, though, also, it is marked by disregard for strict rules of correctness. Muhammad violated all of the rules of the Ten Commandments. So it's a religious philosophy and cosmogony. It's a framework to explain the nature of God and creation, good and the problem of evil, man and the purpose of life. But it is, of course, entirely a fictional concept. Gnostics focus on the inner life of the spirit, which they differentiate from material. Now, I identify as, you pick your... although archaeologists, when they look at skeletons, can only find two genders, but hey.
This gender identity confusion, that directly ties in to the Gnostic influence, huh?
Yes.
There you go. So you guys are hearing it? Gnosticism hasn't died. Gnosticism has mutated in different forms and ideologies. It's still here.
Now remember, when we start to investigate Islam, we start to see that their entire Christology and so many of their stories are literally ripped out of the pages of these Gnostic texts. So, and of course, why is Islam so antithetical towards women? Well, maybe they took that from the Gnostics. Now, of course, Genesis 1:27 says, in the image of God, he created him, male and female. So that's the Christian belief. We have a completely different design. Gnosticism and Gnosis in Islamic law. So let's examine the references to Gnosticism, Gnosis, Gnostic Islamic scholars in the world's most famous and the world's most popular Islamic law manual. Muslims always say, well, Lloyd, it's not. You're wrong. And I'm like, and then I say, okay, so please tell me which one is. And they somehow never do.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
So if I'm wrong about that, please advise me and let me know which one so we can read that one and check. You wouldn't want to hide anything from us, would you? Okay, so notice here, in the world's most famous Sunni Islamic law manual, we've got here, they speak of the spiritual station of annihilation in Gnostic vision. Now, why are they talking about Gnosis amongst these scholars? We'll talk more about that. Stopping at the first traces of Gnosis, because when you become a senior scholar, you learn to use the Quran as a focus device. You learn to utter incantations. These nonsense letters of the Quran are designed to disassociate you from rationality. They're gibberish, which in one sense helps you to separate your mind and enter into what they call a post-rational state. And then you go through these levels and you enter into the throne room with Allah and you commune with Allah that way directly.
Oh, wow. So this is what the advanced students of Islam are seeking to achieve. So just people can understand. These discombobulated letters in the Quran, they believe are delivered there. So as you focus on them, you then disconnect from rationality, logic. So you can go into this state where it's purely just mystical and you enter into the realm of the spirit that transcends logic so you can connect with Allah. That's what they're focusing. Yeah, that's
and they say don't stop at the first traces of Gnosis, because you see those previous Gnostics, the wannabe Gnostics, not the true Muslim Gnostics, they would think when they got the lowest levels that they were awesome. But no. You got to go beyond that. Right? You got to go to the higher levels. And others have claimed to attain to gnosis and contemplative knowledge of the divine, to have reached nearness to Allah. But those guys were just wannabes. It's us Muslims, we scholars, we have attained to gnosis.
Wow.
See, we have attained. Right? The Gnostics in the first of his states. Now, when they say Gnostics, someone's going to go, well, when they say Gnostic, what they really mean is, and like, no, they mean Gnostics.
Yeah.
Right? This is not the only source available on earth that discusses Gnosticism and Islam. The scholars will happily tell you there's plenty of information, videos, books, you name it. Right? The Gnostics' spiritual will, exalted above all else. Right? Let's continue. They've reached the level of those to whom the unseen, right, the ghaib, is disclosed and who have Gnostic insight. The Muslims have achieved Gnostic wisdom. You see, the doors of the gnosis, contemplative knowledge of the divine, opens to them. When they sniff the first traces of knowledge, you see the hikmah, see, the knowledge.
Yeah.
Now, they speak here of, this is interesting though, the perfection of faith. The perfection of faith is to adore Allah, right? Now, it says you must adore Allah, and they say here, now, notice here on the very bottom, it says, all three of these are of the perfection of faith, but the perfection required for the validity of worship is only the first. Only the first. So let's see, what is the first here? To worship in a way that fulfills its obligations by observing all its conditions and integrals. In other words, just like the Pharisees had these rules that you followed, you will be saved, right? And this is for the lay Muslim, but the scholars have to do additional things. For the scholar, he must be immersed in the sea of Gnostic inspiration, the mukashafa. And he must worship as mentioned above, aware that Allah sees one, the station of vigilance, the next station after annihilation, and there's 12 stations or something. All three of these are of the perfection of faith, but the perfection required for the validity of worship is only the first, whilst perfection in the latter senses is the mark of the elect and not possible for many. So only the elite, the elect, can achieve this level of Islamic perfection.
The elect, the special group, those Gnostics who have the keys of the unseen that you need to follow them blindly.
Yeah, they are comprehended through the gnosis, you see. The Gnostics, they speak here of the Gnostics, the chess of the Gnostics, gnosis, and so on. But I hope I've made my point that the main Islamic manual speaks at length about the gnosis of the scholars.
And I noticed that this sounds like the Gnostics of the time that the church fathers were condemning, but you now brought it together. Islam is not Gnosticism repackaged.
Yeah. But let's see. Okay. So Gnosticism is liberation through knowledge. And you, of course, are separated from the other humans because you're smarter than them, right? You're liberated from, you're not saved from, right? So humanity is alienated, right? Gnosticism in Islam versus a good creation. They believe that creation is bad. And creation is good. On the sixth day, God saw all that he had made, and it was very good. Gnosticism does not have a positive vision of creation, nor does Islam. They deny a direct link between creation and God. Islam denies that Jesus had direct knowledge of God. So Jibreel, the Ruh al-Quds, intercedes. However, when you read through the Islamic sources, Mo is often the Ruh al-Quds. He is the Holy Spirit.
In Islamic sources, they depict Muhammad as the Ruh?
Yes, in many cases they do, yes.
So just so we got what you said, notice this Gnosticism is full of errors. That's why they go beyond rationality. I just wanted to see that. Because if they're saying you can't have direct contact with God, so you need an intermediary, but that intermediary is a creature who has direct contact with God, thereby imploding on themselves. I just wanted to highlight that stupidity, but go ahead, brother. I'm going to cut off.
So then final point here. Islam saves us from the Jahiliyyah. Now, people try to say that the Jahiliyyah was, the 7th century, the 8th century. No, we are still in the Jahiliyyah. Islam saves you with its sacred knowledge from the Jahiliyyah, which is the condition of ignorance. If you're not a Muslim, you are in the Jahiliyyah. You are ignorant.
In other words, in plain English language, sucks being you, mister. But go ahead, brother.
Yeah. So I'll skip over a little bit of this stuff. Let's maybe have a look at some of this. So the ulama, scholars, more specifically the scholars of the religious sciences. So religion is a science in Islam, right? They're the guardians, the transmitters, and interpreters of religious knowledge, of Islamic doctrine and law, right? And they fulfill religious functions in the community that require, notice, a certain level of expertise. They have secret knowledge, right? And the ulama, notice here, have long been seen. This is from the Encyclopedia of Islam, which is not known as a conspiracy theory book, right? The ulama have long been seen as a very distinct group, regulated and structured body in Islam, expressing the popular voice, the will of the people, constituting the solid framework of permanent government behind changing dynasties. Does that sound like maybe an Illuminati?
Yeah, exactly. Guys, you caught this? These ulama are the ones who are working behind the scenes to influence governments. Exactly. Wow. Guys, catch this. Listen attentively by the grace of God. This is meat. Wow.
Actually, let me bring up something. Okay, this is Al-Ghazali. This is the niche for lights, the Mishkat al-Anwar, right? Now, Ghazali is considered the highest of the Islamic scholars, even one step above the imams who founded the four schools of fiqh. So let's have a look here. Now, I want to show you this. So he's the greatest scholar of Islam after Muhammad himself. He's considered the Hujjat al-Islam, the proof of Islam. That's one of his names. He's the only one that has this as like his major title, right? The Hujjat, the proof of Islam. He proved Islam true. And notice he says here, those who stopped short of complete illumination, right? Okay. And he goes on, contains, so basically the knowledge of the Amr, of the word of command, Amr, well, there's a term for that in Islam, but those who understand Islam, it contains much that is obscure and too difficult for most minds, except for those guys with the knowledge, right? And he says that the perfect Illuminati perceived that Al-Mutta, the obeyed one. Hold on. Al-Ghazali is saying that the scholars of Islam are the perfect Illuminati.
Wow. That's why I went in closer to the screen to see it. You have it in red. The perfect Illuminati. And just to confirm, Lloyd, what you're saying, guys, so you know he's not lying, and he's not. He's a man of integrity who loves the Lord, who's a God of truth. Hamza Yusuf, type in Hamza Yusuf Al-Ghazali, said what he said. The greatest Muslim mind was Al-Ghazali. And Hamza Yusuf loves Al-Ghazali. People know he's not quoting anti-Islamic literature, Islamophobic literature. Encyclopedia of Islam is a standard scholarly reference work that is not anti-Muhammad. Just want you to know, when he's quoting Encyclopedia of Islam, the standard Encyclopedia on Islam, that is not attacking Islam. It's just stating the facts. So remember that. It's not biased against Islam. Keep that in mind. And
it's actually very pro-Islam in many cases, yeah.
Say pro-Islam. And it costs thousands of dollars to get.
So I'll jump ahead a little bit, so I'll go on. Okay, so here we go. I'll just mention this. Augustine, member of a 2nd century Gnostic sect known as the Manichaeans. That's a long story. Augustine explains that for them, Jesus not only was revealed light, and in the Sirah, Muhammad is revealed light, but he was present everywhere as the Sirah presents about Muhammad. And he signified man's life and man's salvation was hanging on every tree. So, okay, fine and well. Let's have a look at the Kitab Ahwal al-Qiyamat. Read the following account. Now, this is about the Sirah of Muhammad, the Gospels of Muhammad, often called the biographies. It is recorded by tradition that Allah first created a tree with 4,000 branches and called it the tree of life, an idea taken from the Jews, of course. Then Allah created the light of Muhammad, the first thing ever created, in a veil of white pearl, and he placed it upon that tree where this light praised Allah for 70,000 years. Right? Now, of course, it does say within the Sharia that if someone tells a deliberate lie about Muhammad, that is a sin and the penalty is death. Right? That's a crime. But of course, people write all sorts of things about Muhammad. So after 70,000 years where Muhammad praises Allah, Allah takes this light of Muhammad, puts it in a statue of Muhammad, and all of the entities, including you, if you're watching me today, including you, just so you know, because your soul was alive then, right? Your soul pre-existed you. All the angels, all the entities of heaven, all of them circled and danced around Muhammad and praised Muhammad. They praised Muhammad for 100,000 years. So for 70,000 years, Muhammad praised Allah, but then for 100,000 years, you praised Muhammad on his pedestal. And then Allah placed Muhammad on earth.
My goodness. And they say, no, we only worship Allah alone. My goodness. Wow.
Yes. Let's continue. The divine monad is beyond the material and rational world. Now, Allah does not enter the dirty physical realm. So the Christian incarnation is unacceptable. That's the Gnostic view. So think of the polemic, emphasis on Jesus as a baby being unclean. I'm going to go to Ibn Qayyim, guidance to the uncertain in reply to the Jews and the Nazarenes. Let's have a look at this. This is a very common, very popular polemic against Christianity taught in Islam today. It's 800 years old. A religion whose structure is founded on the worship of crosses and pictures on the ceilings and walls, proclaiming that the Lord descended from the chair of his glory and became attached to the inside of a woman's womb. He dwelled in there for a period of time amidst the location where the sexual organs joined. And he came out suckling, growing up, crying, eating, drinking, urinating, sleeping, and playing with other children. This is talking about Jesus.
Yeah.
Then he says, we have to believe that the most exalted entered the vagina of a woman who eats, drinks, urinates, evacuates her bowels, and menstruates. Evacuates her bowels means she poops, all right? And this is bad. Then he got attached to the inside of her abdomen. He dwelled there for 9 months, wobbling between excrement, urine, and menstrual blood. Don't forget excrement, urine, and menstrual blood. Blood is bad. It's unclean. Urine is unclean. And feces is unclean in Islam. So Jesus spent time in an unclean world of matter. He was born to be swaddled, put in the cradle, and his mother breastfed him. Then he ended up being slapped on the cheeks by the Jews. This is what they teach about the Christian Jesus.
What a filthy mind, sick mind to describe it with this kind of disrespect. But they're filth anyway, like Muhammad. But yes, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, no. This is Reliance of the Traveler, section A1.0, page 2-9, right? They say here, notice, from Islamic law, the world and what is in it are accursed. Gnosticism teaches that the world is cursed. And they say that the only thing that is good is the remembrance of Allah, the dhikr, which is a practice of also the Sufis and the high scholars. And that which Allah loves is someone with the sacred knowledge or someone learning it, someone with the gnosis.
So let's hammer that. Guys, you see, this is the Reliance of the Traveler. So did you see what he just showed you, the connection with Gnosticism? Matter is evil. What did this Manual of Islamic Jurisprudence say? The world, everything in it is cursed, except when you do dhikr, remembrance of Allah, and those who seek knowledge, gnosis. Here it is from an official, authentic manual on Islamic jurisprudence. There's your Gnosticism in Islam. Thank you, brother, for the research.
Okay. Now, pagan plagiarism, Plotinus and the One. So Plotinus was a pagan, Hellenistic, Greek philosopher from Alexandria. He despised, actually, technically, his student Porphyry despised Christianity. He's the founder of Neoplatonism. I go into him in more depth in a different series. His writings were widely read within Augustine of Hippo's time, the 5th century, 200 years before Momo. Augustine counted many of his thoughts in the City of God, right? Wrote about him extensively. Let's look at the Christian God, the God of the Bible, Yahweh. Plotinus is the One, and Allah. Let's have a look here. God, right? When I say God, I will mean Yahweh, the God of the Bible. In terms of sovereignty, they're all creators. The One from Plotinus, and Allah is the creator. Let's have a look. In nature, single being with a complex nature is God. But the One is a simple unity beyond being, and Allah is a simple unity of pure will. But notice this here, under the One, the thing in the column here with One applies to Allah as well. There's no contradiction. In action, God is intrinsic as the Holy Spirit, whereas the One is extrinsic. It's a monad that sits outside matter. Allah is extrinsic. Allah doesn't come into the world. Can God be known? Yes, through reason and faith. But the One is knowable only through complete submission. Do you know the religion that emphasizes submission or has something like that in its name? I don't know. Have you?
You are convincing me. Muhammad's light was in all of these Gnostics, man. I'm about to take Shahada because of you, because that's Islam right there in Plotinus.
Yeah, knowable through complete submission. But this applies to Allah as well. Can't be known, right? Let's have a look. Man's nature is free in the Bible, right? But for the One, you're a slave. And to Allah, you're a slave. Just a coincidence, I'm sure. Basis for obedience is love. But in the One, it's mysticism. And in Islam, it's fear. But notice, for the scholars, Allah is known through the mysticism, the gnosis, which we discussed briefly earlier. Then man's will. You have free will in the Christian doctrine, but you impose your will on another. Jihad! Right? Now, you know that Islam is a deen. It's not a religion. It's a deen. It calls itself a deen, which is a political system. And the deen defines itself as a political system that is imposed through force. So this is also the same in Islam. And then the final one is you will submit to the Creator. You will submit to the Creator. This is, so far, we're 1-for-1 between Allah and Plotinus's monad, his Gnostic monad. And then finally, there's no mention of the day of resurrection. But I thought this might be interesting to know.
My goodness, the similarities.
Do you see the parallels here? This is Allah, basically,
Obvious.
taken from the Gnostics.